Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Well, happy Monday. You can tell the summer office is gone. I'm back into my regular office. Hello to Alice, to Doris, Jocelyn, and Catherine. I am so glad you are here. This is the beginning of a brand new week, and I'm addressing something in my own life that I'm working on. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to share it with you because, listen, we're all in this together sometimes, aren't we? We are. Sometimes we feel stuck. You ever feel stuck? I feel a little stuck right now. And I'm trying to unstick and trying to move into the next whatever it is that I'm, supposed to do. And I thought, well, what do we need to do here? Well, we need to break it down, figure it out, get into the meat of the matter, and then find solution, obviously. I mean, why do we talk about a problem if we're not going to find solutions, right? This is the name of the game. So we're going to dig into all of that. So thank you for joining me this week, because there's a lot on this discussion, and there's a lot of connections on this that, we got to take a peek-see at. All right. First things first. Hey, Tanya, there she is. She's live. Yay. First things first. Guess what? We are having a half off sale. We have certain things that we just want to get right out the door. Are you ready for it? Listen, this is a stock up and save type of a sale. However many you put in the cart, you're going to get the other half. It's our clearance sale. All right. We have 7 different supplements there. I'm not even going to tell you what they are. You have to go to savingdata.com/show. You're saying hi to Jenny. Oh, you're saying hi to our Jenny. Jenny. Got it, Catherine. I know. savingdata.com/show. That is where you're going to find all of them. We'll have an email explaining them all. Hey, Sue, I'm glad you're here. I'm just saying, and let me just be very clear about this. Once these supplements are gone, they are gone. Okay. And I will tell you, hi, Deborah. We will, as soon as they're gone, we will take them off the page, and that will be the end of it. But we are streamlining our inventory. We are regrouping a little bit over some stuff because we have a ton of stuff that just really sells, and then we have a bunch of stuff that just sits there. And so we want to just get rid of that stuff. What do you say about that? That's what we're going to do. So if you want to, go check it out, savingdinner.com/show. The other thing that you need to know is if you shop with us and you end up spending over $300, $300 or more, we are going to give you free shipping. That's what we do. That's how we roll. That's our way of saying thank you to you. Obviously, you have to be here in these United States. savingdinner.com/shop, and you can go shopping to your little heart's content. We're happy to have you do that. And we are so grateful and thankful for you choosing us for your supplements. The other thing that you need to know about is that our quote of the week is really pertinent. I don't plan this, by the way. The quotes of the week are just random. I always ask Jenny, hey, what are the quotes of the week? Then I see the quote of the week and I'm thinking, well, that's not perfect, right? Here it is. Just train the mind and the body will follow. Now, Ron Everline works with comedians, and he's a really sharp guy. He gets it. Who is the comedian that I love him? He's short, black guy, really funny. Anyway, that's one of his big clients. But this guy gets it. I believe he at one point was a personal trainer and everything. But the point of this whole thing is that if we are training our mind, our bodies are going to follow right behind it, because basically your mind is making the orders, not your body. This is a good one. Think about that. And this is a good one to really noodle over in your mind, in your journal, and get on your side because, once we start to get that, then we can start taking better control and hop to it a little bit faster instead of just, letting things go. Because being stuck is a deal, and we need to be looking at that. Everyone gets stuck from time to time. Okay. So first of all, in order to, you just say, I'm stuck. I just don't feel, and then, I can't kind of figure out what the heck is going on. Hi there, Linda. These are some of the things that you can do. But first of all, define it. Do you know what being stuck feels like, right? There's a sensation that it feels like an inability to move forward, or we have an overwhelming sensation of being trapped, right? In a certain state of mind, or even a certain stage of life, or whatever. We know what that feels like. But the thing is, it psychologically gets into us and starts doing one of these because it makes us feel like we're not making progress in certain parts of our lives. And it makes us feel like we aren't enough, or that we're not worthy, or whatever. But all the adjectives that come with that. And when we're feeling like that, we have to take a time out for just a minute and just say, okay, analytically, this is where we are. We're in this place of just, stuck. Not moving forward, not necessarily moving backwards, or maybe moving a little bit backwards, but feeling ourselves feeling just a little bit trapped. Like, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Where last week I was all about X, Y, and Z, or I got these things done, and today I just like stuck on the couch. What's going on? Well, from a psychological point of view, psychological standpoint, it's often connected to ruminative thinking. So when we're sitting there and thinking the same thoughts over and over again, it's kind of an obsessive, contemplative type of thinking of just going on. You've heard me talk about that negative loop. This is exactly what that negative loop is. And we get on that and we repeat these things over and over again. And as we do that, we are creating a brain synapse. And when we have those brain connect, those are the kind that we want to break with better thoughts, of course. But you know what this does? This plants seeds toward anxiety, sadness, and this perceived inability to be unable to move forward. We know that's not true, because we know if somebody burst into your home, held a gun to your head, and said to you, these are the things that you need to do, you would darn well do them, wouldn't you? Right? Yes, you would. And so would I. But we get to this place of this, thinking that we can't do anything. And this anxiety and the sadness is a bit overwhelming, and it takes us down into this negative loop where it's just, we're not going at all where we want to be going. So there's this thing, and I just found out about this. I want to explain this to you because I was like pretty blown away with it. We all know about our amygdala, and our amygdala doesn't like risk or change or anything. And it's the danger, stranger center of our brains and all of that. Now, our amygdalas have they can also cooperate because they do like a dopamine hit. So when we tell our amygdala to take a seat and go and do something anyway, we get a real explosive dopamine hit, and our amygdala say, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. So I'm going to change my mind on this, and yes, you can go forward and take that exercise class or whatever it is that you were maybe slightly hesitant to do before. But there's another part of the brain called the brain's default mode network, DMN for short. And this becomes particularly active when our brains wander or we're engaged in some introspective type of activities. So when we have this overactivity of that area of the brain, it's been linked to ruminative and obsessive thoughts patterns. And guess what? That exacerbates this whole feeling of being stuck. And that's this part of the brain that brings you into it. It is that trapped feeling. It is that, I just don't even know what to do anymore. It's that thought in your head of, I would thought this was the right thing to do, but now I'm not so sure. And questioning everything. Have you ever been in that place of just questioning everything? Come on, I'm not the only one, right? This is an interactive show, by the way, just letting you know. So Viktor Frankl, do you know who Viktor Frankl is, right? Viktor Frankl was a neurologist, psychiatrist, and very famously a Holocaust survivor. And he believed in, he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. That was a big book of his. But he believed in the search of meaning of life as the primary drive in all human beings. And I think from his perspective, I really appreciate the fact that he came forward with this stuff because if you've read that book, then you understand and there was just a completely different perspective that he had, which also helped him to survive such dire conditions as being, in a concentration camp. So one of the quotes that I love from him is, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." So And this does not mean that we have to find meaning and purpose in the unbearable. It means that we have to find meaning and purpose in our lives, that we are here on purpose and for purpose. We say that all the time, but this is exactly what this quote is about. That's the depth of this quote, and that we need to, be looking at this. Unbearable circumstances is not the place where we find meaning, but the meaning that we find is in our lives as a whole. What can I do? How can I move forward? Is there a lesson here that I can be taught? What is this about? Can I look at a cracked sidewalk and see a flower blooming through one of those cracks and see the beauty? That's kind of the perspective that I think he has in all of this. Hi there, Chris, by the way. So I love that quote because it really helps us to understand the full depth of going past, what our own little negative thought patterns are and our own default mode network. How many areas of the brain are we going to get into that, right? Man. So yeah, though his work does suggest that finding purpose and meaning, even in the toughest circumstances, is a key to helping us see that we can overcome these feelings of despair, aimlessness, and even being stuck. That we can look for that crack of sunshine, that crack of beauty coming up in the sidewalk. We can if we choose. And I love that because it gives us hope in knowing that our choices and our decisions ultimately is the thing that's going to move the needle. It isn't the stuckness at all. It is that acknowledging that feeling of stuckness, but also understanding that it's time to shift a little bit. It's time to gather a new perspective. So, hey, Anne. Albert Einstein is another one. So this is just, I love this Albert Einstein story because I think it tells us a lot. This is the father of relativity. This is a bona fide genius that we all know about. And he also had a very good sense of humor. And there was a lot of things about Albert Einstein that everybody loved and enjoyed. One of the things about him was when he was in the midst of trying to figure out something deep, and he's on his chalkboard. And if you saw pictures of his office, did anybody ever see the pictures of his office? Oh, it makes mine just look beautiful. It was just stacks of stuff everywhere, just barely a place that he could work. And of course, chalkboards filled with all kinds of stuff going on because, he was always trying to figure things out. But one particularly fascinating anecdote about Albert Einstein is that he would get stuck a lot. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that he would despair about his stuckness a lot. And when that happened, he would decide to just put down the pencil, get away from the chalkboard, go into another room and begin playing the violin. And what he would find is that it gave him a break from this analytical mind of his, where he was constantly analyzing it, and it broke him over into another part of his mind where there was creativity, there was beauty, there was a sound to listen to, and it took him away from all of this stuff, and it gave him it freed up his subconscious basically to start mulling things over. I've told you this before, and I stand by this, especially with Albert Einstein and how he worked when he was feeling stuck. And that is that we only have so much capacity in our heads. We are not infinite beings. We're quite finite. And when we find ourselves jammed up with emotions and thoughts and possible solutions and things that we need to do and emotions that we're having and thoughts about other people and the work and the this and the that, there's too much going on. Have you ever just sat there and just thought, gosh, if I could only turn my brain off for just a minute, reset it? Well, you can. How sometimes we have to do that with our modems, right? We have to just unplug and just let the whole thing go and then replug it back in. And then next thing you know, it's working better than ever. Kind of like Albert Einstein and his violin. We can do the very same thing simply by journaling. I know. So many of you say, oh, I just can't. It's too hard. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Well, start is the thing. And maybe what you're going to put on the first part, it'll be hilarious. There's a grocery list. Oh, these are things I need to talk to my spouse about. Oh, here's something that I need to put in a box and send to my son right away because he left it here when he was visiting. Here's something else that I need to do. And it's all of a sudden you've gone through the whole to-do list. And now they're left to deal with yourself. So what if it's on your journal, right? So what? And then you just start. Maybe you take this quote of the week, and you just say, okay, all right, so I got to think about this for a minute. I've got to train my mind, and then my body's going to follow. What does that mean? How do I have to train my brain? What do I need to do? Ask yourself the why questions. And I will tell you, what I know is that this journal suddenly becomes an indispensable tool to helping you untangle the tangles. We have in our heads, it's like a big colander full of spaghetti noodles where one starts and the other ends. It's just a big mess. But I know that if you were to go into that colander and spend the time and pull one out at a time, that mess of spaghetti is no longer looking like one big continuous mess. It's one noodle at a time. And that's what we can do with our noodles, right? Is we can sort this stuff out. And that's what a journal does. The journal is your best sorting tool, and it helps you to not wash the black socks with a white towel. It does. It gives you that opportunity. So let's get some actionable bullet points here that we can take to the bank and get our unstuckness unstuck. Let's talk about how, first of all, your definition of unstuck, of being stuck. Is it this overarching sense that you need to do something, that you're frozen in time, and that you just can't move past something, holding on to something, a grudge maybe even? Sometimes people describe themselves as feeling as if they're almost frozen in place. They question themselves, they question their character, they question their drive, they question is this all there is? And the meaning of life. We do that. And you know what? I don't want anybody to walk away thinking that that's a bad thing to do. It's a great thing to do. It's a great thing to do because when we ask questions, the answers come. It's better to ask questions than to not. It's better to sound, almost melodramatic, but you're doing it into your journal, right? That's where the energy is going. And then that is a release of that energy. And now we can just sit. And one of the things that I would advise you to even write after you've done all of that journaling and it's just this big mess in your journal, then you write down this sentence: I am open and ready to receive answers to all of this. That's it. that opens up another part of your brain, the reticular activating system. And now your brain has just taken marching orders from you. Your brain's like, yes, ma'am, I'm on the way. I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to figure this out for you. And watch those answers come. It's unbelievable. So understanding this whole thing and the sensation of being trapped or unable to progress in certain areas of life, there's a psychological impact, there's an emotional impact. But I want to just leave this one little nugget with you on that whole aspect, and that is that it's not forever. You don't stay stuck forever. You're staying stuck for a minute, right? And as you use your tools and as you release some of this stuck energy that's in your head onto a page and open up and say, I am ready and listening and able to implement answers to all of this, then you've moved the needle. You are no longer stuck. You are in progress. And I will tell you that is just huge. It's huge. And it gives you that space that you need to breathe. And when we understand this, we can stop the ruminating. We can stop this sensation of being stuck and just say, I'm in process. And we can also, instead of having that default mode network, with the ruminating thoughts and all of that, just take off and keep going. Remember, that's also connected to anxiety and depressive feelings as well. So we can tell that area of our brain to just take a seat. We are working on this thing. We've sought out answers. We've emptied our heads, and now we seek solution. There's nothing else to be said about that, right? So again, think about Einstein. The next time that you are stuck in this place and you're just whatever, stop doing the same thing that you've always done. Leave the problem and go play the violin, or get out the crochet basket and start crocheting, or call up a girlfriend, or take a walk, or do something different. We sell a ton of L-glutamine and crave water on TikTok. We sell a ton of it. And it's interesting because the psychological impact of a craving, for example, is something that doesn't get looked at. And that's so interesting to me, because when we understand that there's something behind that, when we understand that it's not just about the physical, that there's a psychological block here, then we can really move the needle, because we can unpack this stuff and move away from it instead of doing it again and again and again, shampoo, rinse, repeat. So that's the same thing with this old habit of being stuck, because it does become habitual, because it happens, and then we go back and we do the same thing and we repeat. So my suggestion is, instead, take all of that energy that is stuck in your head, dump it into your journal as best you can. And then, now that it's all out and you feel a lot better, then ask in your journal and put it in an I am statement. I am ready to receive the solutions that I am seeking. And watch what happens. Being stuck is something that we all experience. I believe that being stuck is sort of an emotional stagnation, where we're just thinking of, should I go? We're just right here. Do I go here? Do I go there? Do I go up? Do I go down? What do I need to do here? But I do know this, that once we unstick a little bit mentally, then we can start to unstick a little bit with our bodies. Just like the quote of the week is, we can unstick this stuff. Our bodies will follow. And remember too, that our brain, as we do this all this brain stuff, we're starting to create different chemical reactions into our bodies. And as our bodies react differently chemically, this unstuck stuff becomes a distant memory. It's really fascinating how the human emotions work and how our bodies follow suit. So experiment with that this week, and let's see how you do. Tomorrow we've got more stuff about being stuck, and more solutions for getting out of it. So I hope you join me for Tuesday. Thanks again for joining me. And don't forget the announcements, savingdinner.com/announcements. I especially want you to go look at what we have on sale this week because it's not going to last and I don't want you to miss out. savingdinner.com/show. Clearance supplements, grab them while you can. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.